there's a change afoot in the electric car world. Not a great big headline grabbing monumental shift, but a gentle move away from what was once a dominant force. Because not so long since ago, if you wanted a good all-electric, all-round family SUV that gave you good range, good efficiency and a lot of technology on it, you bought a Tesla Model Y. But the Model Y's dominance is now in question. And one of the manufacturers that's making you ask that question is XPENG with this, the G6. Now the G6 has been in the UK for a little while now, but XPENG have now done a little bit of a change to the car, a raft of small improvements and a number of enhancements to the car to make it even more of a rival to the Tesla. How many changes? 20,000 of them apparently. Welcome to another new car review. Welcome to the newly updated XPENG G6. Please sit yourself down and make yourself comfortable in the house of cars. Now before we get under the skin of the newly revised G6, it's maybe worthwhile taking a little step back and understanding where XPENG as a manufacturer have actually come from. Because back in 2014, they were founded as a manufacturer of electric vehicles, but more than that, connected software-led electric vehicles. In other words, they've not had to adapt to a new electric world. They were born into it. And unlike some of their Chinese compatriots, they've not come into the UK with all guns blazing. They've taken a more considered approach. They're testing the waters, they're evaluating the market, and they're continuously refining and enhancing what's already here, which of course is the G6. And as a model, it took aim squarely at, as I said, the dominant force in the market, the Tesla Model Y. And they believe that by this continuous improvement, this enhancement of the model that's already there, that they've got something better to offer us. And you'd like to think 20,000 improvements over the car that I tested just over a year ago should make this quite something. Is it? Well, let's find out, shall we? But as always, before we start the main review, here are 5 quick key facts that you will need to know about the XPENG G6. So this is XPENG's entrance into the mid-size electric SUV segment, targeting cars, like I said, such as the Tesla Model Y, the Kia EV6 and Hyundai IONIQ 5. This long-range rear-wheel drive version I have here offers up to 326 miles of WLTP range. It uses an advanced 800-volt electrical architecture with ultra-rapid charging, 10 to 80% in as little as 12 minutes. This updated version features, XPENG tell me, over 20,000 engineering refinements across chassis, comfort, software and efficiency. And the 3-model range starts at just £39,990 here in the UK. So what we have here is an electric family SUV that offers good range, good efficiency, extremely fast charging, all at a competitive price. But as always, we're not here for the brochure, we're here to see what the car is like out here in the real world. So let's put it through a House of Cars road test review and find out what we think. And if that sounds good to you and you want to know more about all the new cars that enter the UK market from a buyer's perspective, whether it's an electric SUV, a small sports car, a family hatchback or a large executive saloon car or SUV, then you'll want to make sure that you're subscribed to the House of Cars channel and make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss the next one when it's uploaded and it's gone live. Right, let's see what the XPENG G6 has to offer. Now, I first reviewed the G6 last year in 2025 when I was working over at Auto EV, and I have to admit, I quite liked the car back then. I didn't mind it too much. There was a couple of little problems I had with it, and we'll go on to talk about them later, but one of the things that I actually quite liked about it was the way the car looked. Now, this is a car that does divide an awful lot of opinion. A lot of people look at it and think it looks a bit anonymous, it doesn't really stand out. In some respects, I understand what they're saying. But I have to admit, I think it's quite a handsome beast. There's something about it that I quite like. But 20,000 changes they reckon they've made to this car. One of them certainly isn't design. Well, it's not until you take a closer look at it, because this is a bit different round the front here. Before, what you had was this light bar was split with the badge which was there. They've moved the badge and you now get this continuous starlight LED front light bar across the front of it. That's changed, that's new. And of course your main headlights are down here. You get the gloss black grille down at the bottom to aid cooling, and like we're going to find out a bit later, huge amount of technology on the car, as you'd expect. Forward facing camera just nestled in above the number plate there. Of course you get things such as front parking sensors, you get things such as your radar guided cruise control, and like I say, a lot of tech, a lot of cameras all around the car as well. But it's smooth, you know, in terms of the way that it looks. There is a little bit of Tesla Model Y look about the car as well, so that should make it slip through the air quite keenly as well, and that will help with its efficiency. So like I said, at first glance it doesn't appear that a lot has changed, but there are some small changes to the design of the car as we go around it, but it's not a massive shift, and that's what I was talking about at the introduction there. It's all these small continuous little improvements that XPENG have made. If you've got an older G6, you're not going to be too upset from the point of view that they've made a massive big change and yours looks completely out of date now, but there are some subtle changes, and like I say, I quite liked the way the car looked in the first place, so I'm glad they've sort of left well alone. 4.75 metres long with a wheelbase of 2.89. Bang on class, isn't it? You know, it's exactly what you see. And its side profile, it's got that sort of moulded bar of soap sort of shape, but like I say, that's to do more with aerodynamics efficiency, but it does give good cabin accommodation as well, so you'll see that a bit later on. Right, 3 models to talk about. There's the lead-in car, the standard range, then there's this long range which I have here, then there's a performance model as well. They all get 20-inch alloy wheels as standard, which actually fill the arches just quite nicely, I have to say. You know, nothing doesn't look over-wheeled, it doesn't look under-wheeled. I think they do quite well on the car. There's an update on the design as well. Michelin tyres as well, good to see, nice European brand there, and good tyres on the car. Cameras all round it, so we've got camera tucked underneath the mirror there. This is the blind spot camera as well, so this here obviously looks behind, so when you indicate, you know, you get that little sort of like blind spot image that you get in the dashboard like you do in some, you know, the Hyundais, the Kias, and of course Tesla as well. There's also a camera at the front there as well, because again, what it'll do is it'll show you the surrounding cars. Like I say, huge amount of technology. Very smooth panel work down the side, almost the point, but it's a bit anonymous. Flush door handles that pop out. They've done something similar like Ford did with the Mustang Mach-E, in the sense that the roofline itself is actually higher than you think it is, because they paint the roof in the black, and then the body side here is done in the white, so it gives it that more rakish coupe look, but the roofline itself is actually above that, and you can just see that obviously there because you've got the rear spoiler there. Privacy glass on the car as well. You get frameless doors like you do on the Tesla Model Y, and the doors themselves go right down to the bottom of the sill as well, so again, getting in and out of the car is quite easy, and you've got a nice clean sill as you get in and out of the car, so that's all good. But yeah, it's not the most dramatic looking car, and I do understand why some people don't like it, because it does look a little bit anonymous, but like I say, I quite like it. The rear of the car has had a little change as well, because you now get this integrated little ducktail spoiler there just across the base between the window line and the actual hatchback, and it's got a nice sort of like negative space of curvature there as well. Of course you get your big XPENG across the middle of it there, and of course the G6 logo there. There isn't really any sort of like indication of what variant of the G6 that you have in the car. I think the alloy wheels are a bit different, and that's the only way you can really tell, which is also quite a nice thing as well. You get the split light bar there, obviously, because you get this little rear facing camera just underneath there, and your boot release is just tucked underneath the hatchback there. Now, I have to apologise, I've been really busy this week. I've been using the car this week. It's been sat in a couple of airport car parks and on a couple of press launches. It is a bit dusty even though it is white, but I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the actual sweep of the wiper, it does have a rear wiper which is tucked underneath the spoiler. It could do with a longer one, because there's quite a bit of gap there of dirt. It would be nice to see the actual wiper sweep a bit more of the screen, but I'm pleased it has a wiper, so I'm not going to complain too much. Again, there's a camera just up there, because obviously you get a rear mirror that can be a camera, and that's got your integrated high level brake light there. But like I say, small changes to the car, nothing drastic. If you own a G6 at the moment and you look at the new one, you're probably going to spot the differences, but to the passing observer, most people won't know whether or not it's the old car or the new car you have. Is that the right decision? Do you think they should have even bothered changing it so soon into the car's introduction to the UK? Because this is the model that's been out in other markets for a little while now. Should XPENG just have waited and launched this right at the start? Do you think they should do more? Whatever it is, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Especially if you've got a G6, let me know what you think about it. So is it practical? Well, here's the thing. If you look at the volume of the boot, yes, it's 571 litres, XPENG quote. And if you fold down the 60-40 split rear backrest, that will take the total capacity up to 1,374 litres. So in terms of numbers, yes, it is practical. In terms of actually getting the cases in, however, there's a bit of a problem. Now, I noted this on my original road test review of it last year on Auto EV, and it's all to do with the location of this rear roller blind. Because if you look at that space, it's wide. There's a bit of height there, but it's an SUV. You can't expect it not to be. But actually, it's quite a wide, usable space, that, you think. So there's our large suitcase. If we put that in, that's the problem. It's the depth of it. So it means you've got to actually put the cases down like this. You've got to lie them flat to get them in. Now, they'll still fit, don't get me wrong, but you've just got to have a little bit of Jenga with them, you know. So there's our medium one. If I pop that at the back there, and we can get, let's have a look. Let's see if we'll put that one in there. In fact, no, let's pop that one up on its side there, and that one up there. You see what I mean? There's the issue. You're trying to get the blind shut over the top of these cases. And if it was just moved up a couple of inches, they would actually stand upright and you get more cases in. Now, some people will have said, and they did comment originally, we'll just take the luggage blind out, Bryan. Then you've got all the space that you need. That's fine in terms of carrying stuff, but when you actually think about the practicality of being on holiday, if you're driving through France or stuff like that and you've got your luggage like that and you're stopping somewhere to go and have some lunch, you don't want your luggage on display. You want to cover it up. You might have some valuables in there. You just want to cover stuff up. So I have to admit, that's all it would take, just moving that blind up 2 inches, and it wouldn't actually change the rear visibility of the car, because actually the blind sits below the rear bench height anyway, and it would make all the difference. Why is that not one of the 20,000 changes? There we go. Anyway, like I say, it does fit, so you can do it, but you just have to be careful how you do it. But it could be a bit better if they just had done it a little bit better. Right, the other thing that I've got a bit of a problem, well, I say a problem, it's not really an issue, but something the Chinese manufacturers just don't seem to get. None of them do it really. And it's things like you get on Škoda, you know, and Volkswagen and Ford and the Stellantis cars. It's things like there's no hooks at the side to put a luggage net in. So, you know, you put your shopping in, you can't put them underneath the luggage net, stop all your vegetables rolling around the boot of the car, because there's nowhere to hang them from. There also isn't any hooks that come down from the side there. There's a 12-volt power socket, an old style cigarette style thing in there, and that's it. You know, it would be nice to see them maybe just put a bit more of those little details and thoughts into the luggage compartment of the cars. There is, however, storage underneath the rear boot floor, so you get things like your cable bag in there, your repair tool things in extra because there's no spare wheel with it, high-vis jacket, you know, your warning triangle, that's in there as well. So, as I say, it's good, but it should be a bit better, that's all. But I hear you all say, dedicated EV platform, there'll be a big front boot. Front, whatever you want to call it. And the nice thing is you can open the front of the car without having to go into the screen. It's got a handle under the dash. And I was like, this is it, eh? This is where it's going to absolutely win. No, it's a piece of plastic. There's no storage there at all. Don't know what's under there, but it's not a boot, that's for sure. You can fill your washer fluid from here, however. You can do that. You can lift that up and there's a little washer fluid thing there. But yeah, there's no storage underneath there. Whoops. Now, rear accommodation. First of all, the doors. They're not too bad, they do open relatively wide, but there's quite a bit of door panel there, and it does seem like quite a narrow aperture in that sense, so loading child seats in might be a little bit of a sort of like a tuck and slide type of scenario. Talking of child seats, just before I get in, you do have ISOFIX points as you'd expect, but they're not covered or anything like that. They're just the little bars between the rear backrest and the squab as well, but they're relatively easy to find, so it's not too bad. So just watch that, that's all I will say. So stepping into the car, That is my driving position. The first thing you notice is the floor does not feel pushed up. You've actually got quite a nice height here on the actual rear seat. So there is a decent amount of room. You don't feel like your legs are tucked up like this and they're pointing to the ceiling. There's some nice lounging space back here. Talking of lounging space, there is also a handle at the side where you can adjust the rake of the backrest as well. So if you want to sit a bit more upright, you can, or if you want to recline a bit more, you can. It's not infinite, but you know, 2 stages, and that's absolutely fine, I would think. My daughter was in the car last night. We were out as a family in the car last night, and she was commenting how nice the back of the car actually was, so she was quite happy with it. I'll talk a bit more about the materials and stuff when we jump in the front, but just again, just here, the nice little ambient light underneath that fold of pleather on the door there, that's quite nice too. Storage is okay. We've got mat pockets on the backs of the seats here, as you would expect. However, we also have a fold down armrest, which is there, and slide out cup holders. That's really nicely damped as well. So again, the quality is quite good. It's plastic, but it doesn't matter. I think the actual, just the way that it slides out is quite nice. So that's been well thought out. And like I say, we'll discuss the materials we've got in the front of the car here. But you know, the seats themselves are quite comfortable. There's a relative length in the squab. So again, I'm short, I'm only 5'8", but you know, they tuck underneath behind my knees quite nicely. And the backrest itself is nice. I quite like the fact you can recline it a little bit. Headroom wise, well, it's okay for me. I would think again, if you're sort of like 6 foot and above, you're going to notice this bit of roofline here, but it does have this fixed glass panoramic sunroof. So in the centre, a bit more in towards the centre, there is a load of height there, and as well in the centre of the car, so the centre of the bench, there is plenty of height and plenty of knee room as well. So that is good. So if you're a family of 5, you got 3 kids across the back, no problem at all. Even 3 adults, in fairness, would be fine. So yeah, it does sort of make up for areas, you know, in other parts of the car here, and the rear seat accommodation is certainly one of those, I would suggest. So one of the big changes now to the car is up here in the front, and welcome changes. So redesigned dashboard, we've got new materials, redesigned door cards, seats are changed. Well, obviously you get things such as heated seats, ventilated seats, there's also massage seats. The whole cabin feels like whereas before it used to feel like it was good for the price, now it feels, well, almost actually quite premium. Now you'll notice as well that there is a lack of physical buttons, so it's very screen dominant in terms of its control. However, XPENG themselves are a software-led company, so it means that this works really, really well. I cannot fault this, the way in which it works. So even if you're things like, even silly things such as you can vary the split of the screen if you want to have it as a dual screen. So if you want more of your ADAS system control there and less navigation, you can have it, or if you want to increase the size of the map over here, you can do all that. Obviously a lot of it is controlled through the screen, like I said, but there is also voice activation, which is exceptionally good. That's been improved. We were out, as I say, as a family last night. I was driving, Liz in the passenger seat. She wanted to turn on her heated seat for just a little short space of time to its low setting. She asked the car did it. It knows where the voice is coming from because it's got microphones embedded around it, and that's all very well and good. Even silly things such as this. Well, let me show you. If I go to, where is it? Let me go to the right plate here. So you obviously get things such as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So when you've got your Apple CarPlay on there, you'll notice the climate menu disappears from the bottom of the screen. Okay. Now most manufacturers retain the climate menu if they're controlled through the screen, whereas on the XPENG it disappears completely. What you can do, however, first of all, is you can swipe up from the bottom and it reappears. So there you go, and then you can just alter your temperature there or your fan speed there, obviously for driver's side. But if you also press this fan icon there, it brings up the actual climate menu. So that's much more detailed, allows you to change much more, and you can also go into your seats and steering wheel from there as well, right? So that's one thing. The other thing, however, oh, hang on, I'm skipping ahead of myself there. So let me go back to my Apple CarPlay. Where is it? Yeah, so it's gone again. So the other thing you can do, however, is it's also controlled via the buttons on the steering wheel. So this left scroll wheel now is my temperature, and the 2 arrow controls there, that's the fan speed. Now that's excellent. The other thing you can do is you can just ask it. You can ask the car, the same as, you know, Liz was saying last night. You can just say, you know, hey, name of car, set cabin temperature to 20 degrees. Boom, done. It's really very good. It's really very good. I can't fault that. That you can't fault that the way that is set up. So yes, lack of physical buttons in some respects, but you can control so much of it other ways, and it is another thing is very quick to respond. The other thing that I really like about it as well is when you turn off the ADAS systems, you can do that. If you swipe down, you've got your overspeed alarm there. You've got various different little shortcut menus here. So to open the boots there, driver ventilation, driver heated passenger, all that kind of stuff is in there as well. So you can do that. However, if you don't turn off your let's say your speed limit warning, and let's just say you do, I mean you shouldn't obviously, but let's say you do actually just nudge over the speed limit in the car. First of all, the chime itself is very low. And then it comes up and warns you on the screen, but then asks you if you want to turn the function off. Yes, please. Job done. That's it. Same with lane keep assist. So if you wander across the lane, it comes up and tells you, and it'll say, do you want to deactivate this function? Yesterday morning I was still in Madrid. I had a really early start. I was out in Madrid filming the new Cupra Born. Flew back to Gatwick, picked this car up. I got in the car and I must admit I yawned as I was going on the M23. Driver drowsiness monitor came up and said, driver alert, stay awake, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to turn this function off? Yes, please. Can't fault that. You know, when it's as easy to use as that, and that's what they've done. They've concentrated on making it easy to use, and that cannot be faulted. So you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto if that is your default thing, or as you can see here, you've got various different apps that you can go into. There is an embedded navigation system in the car as well, which obviously you can put in there. You, as I say, you can vary the screen size, you know, how much screen you want it to take up and how much you don't. Because I say XPENG, they're a software-led company, so therefore this is very quick in its processing power. There's various other apps you can add in here. Obviously this car's got Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram, Disney Plus. You can just sign into your things there, so you don't have to do it through your phone as well if you want to do that. And then there's other various things. Mindfulness space, you know, after activating the mindfulness, the seat will automatically adjust to a comfortable position and return to its original position when finishing the mindfulness. So it looks after you. And there's a sleep mode as well, where you can fold all the seats down and put mattresses in it. There's loads of stuff in there that's great. It's absolutely, you know, wired casting, that type of thing. There's a calendar. You know, a lot of these cars have this thing, but it's just how good this one is. It's how fast it reacts and how easy it is to use. That's what I like about it. So if they're going to get rid of buttons, make it as good as this, because that does work well. I don't know if you remember, I pointed out there's a camera feed on the back spoiler. You can change this interior camera to either be a mirror or the camera feed. You've got to do it through the screen, however. So if you've got 3 strapping lads across the back seat because you've been picking up, you know, from rugby or whatever, or you've loaded up the seat, you know, the car because you're doing a tip run or something, and you can't see it in the mirror, you can flip that to be a camera. It would be nice if it was just on the mirror, but you can go into the screen and change that if you really do want. That's something that you can do. There's also a driver recorder as well available as well, because there's cameras up there too. I said about the buttons on the wheel changing the temperature and the fan speed as well, but they are also very good as well, the way that they're laid out, because they're scroll wheel. They are physical buttons. However, the only thing I will say, and I am splitting hairs a bit here, again, coming out of Gatwick airport yesterday at the car parks, the roundabouts and stuff, the way I hold the wheel, I did hit the track search button there by mistake, because it's just if they're quite big, but they are physical buttons, but they are quite easy as you're turning the wheel just to hit that with the heel of your hand. So do watch that. But I'm pleased they are physical buttons rather than capacitive haptic ones, so that does please me quite a bit. You've got wipers, indicators, lights on the stock here, and then you've got a transmission stock is on the right hand side. This is new as well, this driver's display, that has changed too, and you can vary the functionality on the right hand side there. So if you want to see trip computer, various other things, that you can change that as well. Then it gives you your energy usage over on the left hand side, your ADAS system in the center, with the transmission, transmission mode you're in, plus as well your speed located in there. And then of course you've got your battery percentage and range and stuff down there. It's very clear, it's very easy to read. It's a bit bigger than I think it was in the previous car. The steering wheels also had a redesign as well. I still quite like the fact it's that 2-spoke design, that slightly more oval shape. It's quite nice in the hand, but as I say, just watch the buttons. The only real other buttons there are in the car is on the door panel. So again, for locking and unlocking and for opening your windows, that's it. So, you know, again, that's excellent. The mirror control, obviously, you've got to do from in the screen there. But again, once you've kind of set that up, your profile, you're fine with that. And there's a push button activation for the door opening and closing. But from memory, there's also a manual control release on the door panel as well. Storage is excellent. And again, good use of materials. So you've got 2 cup holders here, which will also take the big Yeti flask. It goes in and out there. That will also fit in the door bin as well. The centre cubby here is nice and deep as well, plus it's lined on the side and a rubber mat on the bottom, and it's also chilled, so that'll keep your Maltesers nice and cool in there. There's storage underneath this high centre console here, and again, that's lined on the bottom with felt so things don't roll around. It's not hard plastic. There is a pleasing lack of piano black in here as well. I really like this open pore satin finish grey plastic wood, but it's nice. I quite like that. You get the big speaker across the front of the dash as well. The audio system's very good in the car, can't complain about that. As I say, the seats have changed a little bit. I'll talk about the seats a bit more when we're out driving, because I do want to talk about those. There's twin wireless chargers, that's handy. Done the school run a couple of times this week. Katie's getting in the car and she needs to charge her phone. I can leave mine there on charge and she pops hers down and that does charge as well. Oh, and the ambient lighting, that's the other thing I wanted to show you as well. So you can go into the ambient lighting of the car here, ambient lights, and there's now you know, infinite amount of ambient lighting that's available. Katie was playing with all this last night and changing it. She changed it to bright purple last night, which not my cup of tea, but there you go. But you can have the fixed ones there, or you can change it to your actual infinite number there. And then there's different themes, and then there's different modes as well. Fixed brightness, smooth breathing. Follow speed, I assume speed of car, and music rhythm. I wouldn't want that. That would drive you mad. But you can have all that done as well, so you can change that. That's excellent. You can go in there. There's various things for your driver assistance, your X-Pilot assist. As I say, you can tailor stuff in there. Your lane departure, your emergency lane keep assist, lane support system. And again, you would say that's annoying. You've got to go in there to change all of that. But as I say, if you do break the 2 annoying ones that you do, at least it comes up and asks you if you want to turn it off. There's also intelligent parking assist. Oh, the other thing as well is, I mentioned earlier, they've got the cameras on the thing there. When you indicate, I'm not in drive, oh hang on, because I'm not in drive, that'll be why. There you go, it now shows me the image down that side of the car. And it's like the Hyundai and the Kia, it puts it in the driver's display, unlike the Tesla, because obviously you've only got the big display on the Tesla. So you do get that on that side there, so that's quite good. So you get that in your line of sight. So I have to say, I've got no complaints about this interior in terms of the way the way things have to get used. I really thought, like I did maybe a bit last year, that I was going to go, oh, it's all screen control, blah, blah, blah. But the fact you can control quick and easy stuff off the steering wheel buttons, love that. Really good voice activation. And I just love the fact it comes up and actually asks you if you want to turn stuff off. So all in all, brilliant improvements. Much faster processing, very easy screen to use. Quite like the minimal uncluttered look of it. Good storage, reasonable comfort, and plenty of standard equipment. What really isn't to like? Oh, and like I say, it now feels a bit more premium, which is a good thing. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting for me. There's 2 battery sizes available. So your standard range car has a battery size of 68.5 kilowatt hours, and that should deliver a WLTP range of round about 290 miles. You then move up to this long range rear wheel drive car, or the performance model. They both get the same battery, slightly larger at just over 80 kilowatt hours usable capacity. And they will give WLTP ranges of 326 miles for this long range rear wheel drive car, or 316 miles for the performance model. Now at first you're going to go, that's not outstanding, is it? You know, there are cars in this class that quote longer miles now, and you are correct, there's no doubt about that. However, this is where the XPENG plays its trump card. Bad expression. 800 volt architecture in this car. It's the charging speed. This larger battery car, so the extended range rear wheel drive or the performance model, have a peak charging capability of 451 kilowatts. That's outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. In fact, I don't think there's a charger in the UK capable of delivering 451 kilowatts. I think 400 kilowatts is the fastest I've seen. But if you can find one, if you can find even that, they quote a 10 to 80% charge in 12 minutes. That's the game-changing bit for me. It's not the range, it's how fast you stop, how fast it charges, meaning you stop for a lot shorter period, if you can find one of those ultra-rapid chargers. Even the smaller battery charges at 360 odd kilowatts. So again, even the fastest IONIQ chargers, that still has a faster capability of that. So again, it's 10 to 80% time is 12 minutes. That's the game-changing bit for me. The car also comes with a heat pump as standard, so better efficiency. That helps with its range, and also it gets 11 kilowatt AC charging as standard. It also has vehicle to load capability, and the vehicle to load capability is 6.6 kilowatts. So again, very fast vehicle to load offering as well. That's the bit for me that really changes this car, I think. You know, in this class, whilst, as I say, people tend to look at range and get fixated on that, it's not so much that, because we all know cars don't do their official range. It's actually how fast they can charge, because that means if the faster they charge, the shorter time you'll be stopped for. And this car leads the class. Let me give you the performance numbers for all three cars in the G6 range. So you start with the standard range car, which is 250 horsepower, and that does 0 to 60 6.9 seconds. So it's, you know, decent, you know, properly. I think that's about right. Anything around about 7 seconds, 0 to 60 in a family car is about right for me. This has a little bit more, because this is obviously the bigger battery car. This is 280 horsepower, so this is the long range rear wheel drive car, 280 horsepower. But bear in mind, because it's a bigger battery, slightly heavier, so you actually then get a 0 to 60 time very, very similar. It comes down to about 6.5 seconds, which I genuinely have not found it wanting this week. I really haven't. It's nice. I'll talk about the actual way it accelerates in a second. But you can have the performance model, which obviously is dual motor, 480 horsepower. But again, do you know what? It's not daft. It brings a 0 to 60 time down to about 4.7, 4.8 seconds. So it's not silly sitting there going 3.1 seconds or 2.7 seconds. It's enough, you know, it's quick enough. How does it actually drive on the road? When I drove this car last year, there was one glaring flaw with it, and it was its ride quality. And its primary ride, up on high speed bumps and things like that, is fine. It's the secondary ride round about town where the problem lies. And it's still there. 20,000 changes and it's still uncomfortable. What's going on, XPENG? But in fairness to XPENG, this is Chinese brands at the moment. This is something I have found with all the Chinese cars that I've been reviewing of late. They all have very poor low-speed ride quality. Now, bear with me, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here before we actually get back to actually talking about this car. I go on a lot of press launches with a lot of these Chinese brands where they turn around and say, oh, we've got this number of engineers, and we've got that engineer that does this, that does that. What I really want to hear is we've got an engineering department set up in the UK. Now, there's only two that I'm aware of do this, which is MG and Changan. And I have to say, it's not really a complaint that I have with MG cars. Changan, I've only driven the one, so I can't really think of that. But every single one of them seems to have the same problem: low speed ride quality. You can dazzle me with tech, you can dazzle me with numbers and battery and range and charging speeds and all the rest of it, but if it's a family car that's uncomfortable, I'm sorry, it's falling at the first post. This was my complaint with the Tesla Model Y when it first came out, and I was pulled across the coals by a lot of people saying, but it does 0 to 60 in 3 point such seconds, and it's Tesla and it's all brilliant. And I was like, that's fine, great. On a sports car, that would be brilliant. But it's in a family car, and if it makes your kids feel sick in the back, what's the point? And this is what we have here. This is it. Now, they do say they've made changes to the chassis, but genuinely, low speed ride quality is still very poor as far as I'm concerned. And I've been driving this car all week, and I've been doing a number of different drives in it. I've had it on the motorway, and the motorway is absolutely fine. It's quite nice. Road noise is actually well suppressed. I have to give them credit for that. I think a lot of that's down to the fact it wears decent tyres. There's Michelin tyres that are on the car. But driving to Gatwick yesterday, anybody who lives round and about the west side of London that uses the M25 will know what I'm about to say now. There is a surface on the M25 from where I live, sort of like roundabouts, like the Egham Way, you know, round towards Red Hill, stuff like that is just horrible. It's like driving across a washboard. But I have to say, the noise suppression was kept well in check with this car. Shame the ride wasn't. There we go. Right, that's the thing. That's it. That's me got that out of the way. And the problem is, it is such a glaring flaw with it, and it's such a fundamental basic of a car like this. I can't ignore it. And it really does put a massive big blot on the G6 copybook as far as I'm concerned, because it's just jiggly. It never feels like it settles down, and it's passive springs and dampers. It's not adaptive dampers. It's not like I've always got it in sport mode or something like that. I haven't. This is how the car drives, and it is just jiggly. I've had passengers in the car this week, they've all said the same thing. Oh, it's a bit uncomfortable, this, isn't it? You know, especially when you go around town, it's very uncomfortable. Right, that's that out of the way. Sorry, I'm in a very long queue of standing traffic, apologies. You can tailor the car up to a certain degree, as you can with lots of these cars. Obviously what you do is you go into the screen. We go in here and we go to vehicle, and we go to driver assistance, driving. No, we don't. That's for your other pieces. We go to drive. Here we go. Eco, comfort, sport and individual. And I'm sure you can understand which each one of those is. The power steering you can change. You can go from light, normal and heavy. I've got it set in normal, and it's quite nice. It's okay. It's a decent, it's light enough at parking speed, and it weights up at speed, so it's quite nice actually. I don't have a problem with it in the normal mode. The brake feel, again, three levels of brake feel, not the regen. We've got either smooth, normal or sensitive. Again, set in normal. Decent enough. Regen, you've got 4 levels of that, so low, medium, high and X pedal, and obviously X pedal's the adaptive mode there. Now then you go into this menu, you can change all your things like your steering wheel shortcuts, your exterior side and stuff like that. Right, that's that. So that's all the different modes you have. If you go into the individual mode, that just means you can set up the power response, the power steering, the brake feel to how you want it. So if you want, say, the sport power response but with the normal steering and the smooth brake feel, that's how you can tailor the car. And when you go into individual, that's how it sets it up. That's all that means. That beeping you hear, by the way, is just the ADAS system telling me that the traffic's moving on. I do want to talk about the ADAS systems while we're stuck in this horrific traffic, because the ADAS systems, like I said earlier, I really do like the fact that, first of all, the chimes that come on the car are very low. You know, there's just a very low chime that you get on the car. It's not this glaring big bonging noise. And then when it does happen, it just comes up here and it asks you if you want to turn the system off. But I've turned off the speed alarm. You can do that. You just swipe down and then use your over speed alarm there. But as you say, if you do want to go into the lane keep assist and things, you can either go through the menus, or if you do go over it, it will come up and ask you if you want to turn the function off. That's very good. I have to say that. Right, I did talk about the seats a little bit when I was in the interior, in the sense that I said I'd wait till we were driving the car till I told you about the seats, and I was hoping to be up to a bit more speed now. But let me tell you what I think about the seats. They're comfortable, but they're comfortable in the sense that a nice spongy sofa is comfortable. Okay, what's wrong with them is the support. So there's nothing wrong with the actual comfort of the seat in the terms of what you're sitting on. It's got a nice spongy cushion on the bottom. It's got on the squab. It's got a nice, you know, comfortable sort of like backrest from that point of view. You've got obviously power adjustment as well. You see, here's this ride quality coming. This bit here will be interesting because this is where all these potholes are. Watch. The whole car is shaking with that. Now I've got a Renault Scenic, and I'm not saying it glides over them, but all of that bumping and thumping is underneath the car and you don't feel it in the car. That's the difference between a good chassis and a bad one. Right, the seats. The problem I have with the seats is the level of support they offer you. Because obviously the car is built on a bespoke EV platform where the battery's underneath the car, and so therefore the weight is at the bottom, but it is quite a tall car. And that's the other problem with the suspension, because the suspension, what they've done then is they've stiffened it up to compensate for body roll as you go into a corner. Well, when you go into a corner, physics take over. Something has to move. If it's not the car, then it's you as a person. And that's where the issue comes, because when you barrel this thing into a bend, and I'm not talking about going ridiculously fast, I'm just talking about generally cornering, but maybe you've upped the speed a little bit, or you're going into a roundabout, okay? And then what will then happen is, as you go into the bend, the body stays fairly flat. You don't. You roll out of the seat. And that's where it's also uncomfortable as well. So it always feels like you're slightly on tiptoes. It always feels that you're never actually in the car, in control of it. So as I say, you know, this roundabout here, we're maybe not going quite quick enough, and I'm not going to over exaggerate it, but if this guy hurries up in the pickup, in fact, let me actually just go round the roundabout. See, look there, the lean I've got there that's not comfortable. I feel like I'm actually coming out of the seat as I go around that roundabout. The body's staying flat, I'm not. That's it. That's where the problem is as well. Which means that you just don't have the confidence in the car. So you've got poor low-speed ride quality, you've got poor body control, and you don't feel in control of the car. And it's a real shame, because the rest of it I really like. I quite like this car. I did, God almighty, I did a year ago when I drove it. I liked the G6, I thought it was good. It's just not good enough. And then when he said, oh, we've made 20,000 changes to it, and we've improved the chassis, and we've done this and we've done that, you go, brilliant, fantastic. And then it arrived and I drove it and I went, it genuinely feels like you haven't listened to what anybody was saying. Because actually the fundamentals of it are still quite poor. The fundamental dynamics of the car, I think, are still quite poor. And it's a shame, because actually there's a good car here just waiting to get out. Hire some, you know, this is what Hyundai did. You know, they hired some guys from BMW, you know, they poached engineers now from BMW, places like that. That's what these Chinese brands now need to do. They've done it with some designers, which is great. You know, MG have got, you know, some, you know, quite talented designers, and we can see some of their designs coming through on the MG cars, which is, they're quite good looking cars. But it's the engineers. And I'm not knocking Chinese engineers, I'm not saying, but they tend to be software rather than hardware. And you need to get the basics right first, guys. This is all great, but in terms of a family car, it's tinsel. It needs to be comfortable first and foremost. And I'm sorry, the XPENG G6 just isn't at the moment. Sorry. What else to say about it? Let's move on to sort of like some positive things. The performance, like I was saying earlier, I actually feel this mid-range car is probably the sweet spot of the range, because it's got good performance. I quite like it. And the other thing as well is it's quite linear performance. So again, it doesn't feel like explosion when you stamp on the throttle. It's just that really nice, you know, progressive accelerator you feel. So the pedal feels quite good on the car, and it does just tend to gather speed really, really well as well. You know, so it does accelerate quite well. I do like that. It's just, I'm not saying it feels out of control in a straight line, like something like, say, a Tesla Model Y Performance always did to me. It's just when you get to a bend, you just don't want to be going too fast, because that's when it all starts to fall apart. The braking system, well, like I've shown you, you can adjust it. Let me just see, let's go on a straight piece of road, nothing behind me, let's give it a try. We're doing 40. Yeah, they're good. They're good brakes. They'll stop you well. And again, a nice feel through the pedal. You've got a really nice solid pedal there. It doesn't feel mushy. There's no deadness to it. I like the driving position in the sense you get a good view of everything out here, and I like the usability of the technology, like I was saying earlier. And I really like the fact you've got this high console and, you know, this high armrest up here as well, because it's a really comfortable driving position, albeit the seat needs work, but you know what I mean, where you're actually sat in the car, you feel kind of everything's wrapped around you a little bit here, and you sit well in the car and you get great visibility out of it. You know, even looking that narrow, sort of like slightly narrow rear window, when you put the camera into the rear view camera into the mirror, it's a lot better. But even so, there's a tiny little bit of over the shoulder blind spot there if you're coming out of a sharp junction, and that's about it. You get good view down the side of the car with the big door mirrors. They've got the cameras obviously that give you that information that's on there. That's good. As I see, you got a nice clear uninterrupted view of the base of the windscreen because the screen's set in the right place. That's good. You can't quite see the front of the car, but you know, it's just got a big windscreen and it obviously slopes quite far away at the front, but you soon get used to it as you would with any car. So that's really it. Like I say, there's a good car here waiting to get out, but it's basic stuff where it's falling apart for me. This is all wonderful. I can feel differences, you know, the great charging speed, good quality, good range, good quality of materials. They've improved the build quality, the performance is good from the car, you know, nice level of standard equipment on it, reasonable asking price, obviously, which we're going to go on to discuss next. All of that's good, but the basics still fall way short of something like a Škoda Enyaq, a Kia EV5 or EV6, you know, a Renault Scenic E-Tech. And until you get those basics right, dare I say this, none of this really matters. It's a family car first and foremost. It's got to suit family requirements. And if you can't, you know, if you can't drive it and feel comfortable in your drive, what's the point? And I'm really disappointed because I really hoped it would be a lot better. It's better than it was, but it's not as good as it should be. Now, price-wise, the range starts with the standard range car with a slightly smaller battery, and that's £39,990. The nice thing about the G6 is the option that you pay for it is only to get the battery or the performance, if that makes sense, because actually the equipment level is all the same on all three models. So you're only sort of like moving up in terms of mileage and sort of like performance, if that's important to you. If the performance and the range of the base car is good enough for you, you're still going to get all that equipment as standard on that. However, if you move up to this car, which is the long-range rear-wheel drive car, that's £44,990, and the performance model is £48,990. White is the standard colour, and there's a further choice of another 4 optional colours for another £700, and that's it. There's no other options you really need to put on the car. Warranty, it's not as good maybe as some of the other Chinese brands have sort of like, you know, made a big fuss about. It's 5 years or 75,000 miles on the car, but on the battery it is an 8-year warranty, as most of them are. Now, there simply isn't enough hours in the day for me to go through every rival that the G6 is going to face in the market. But of course, the main one, and the one that it took aim at, is of course the Tesla Model Y. And that's had a continuous improvement as well since that car was first introduced. Not just a new model, but revised prices as well. And it still remains very, very popular. But of course, like XPENG, it's also faced some new rivals as well. There's the BYD C-Line 7. That's a car that you're also going to consider against maybe the more top of the range ones of these. But further at the starting price of this car sits the Leapmotor C10, another Chinese entrant into the market, albeit one that's part owned by the Stellantis group. And when we think about the Stellantis group, of course, there's some of the legacy manufacturers. They've introduced new models since the XPENG first appeared as well. Things such as the Vauxhall Grandland, and of course the Citroën EC5 Aircross. There's also the Peugeot E3008, another worthy rival that's going to sit with this car. And there's other European manufacturers that have been in this space for quite some time now as well. Škoda with the Enyaq, and of course Volkswagen with the ID4 and ID5 twins. Cupra's got the new Tavascan as well. That may be a car you're also going to consider with this car. And from Japan, we've also got Toyota with its revised BZ4X. And that's only just a handful of cars that I can think of off the top of my head. I still haven't mentioned things such as the Ford Explorer, the Renault Scenic, and cars such as that. Oh no, wait a minute, I just have. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, there's certainly a lot out there that the G6 is going to have to face, not just the Model Y, if it wants your attention. The XPENG G6 is now a smarter choice than it was before. Not because it's dramatically different. This is a shining example of where gentle evolution beats dramatic revolution. What XPENG have done is they've taken a car that was already very good and now made it much more complete. 20,000 changes they reckon they've made to this car. Have they made it better? Yes, but does it go to being best in class? No, and for one glaring obvious reason: that ride quality. It's still not good enough. For me, they should have gone the extra length and done 20,000 and 1 changes, then we might have been having a very different conversation at the end of this video. However, if that side of it doesn't really bother you, and what you're after is a spacious, well-equipped, all-electric SUV that has a decent range, incredible charging speeds at a decent starting price, then what I will say is this: the G6 is well worth a look. It's just a shame they didn't go that step further, because before, the G6 wasn't good enough to top the class, and even after all those changes, it's still not good enough. But it is better. Thank you for watching another new car review here on House of Cars. As always, please make sure you are subscribed to the House of Cars channel, and then when you've done that, make sure you turn on your notifications, because that's the way you'll receive word when the next video is uploaded and it's gone live. If you've enjoyed this review, I really would appreciate it if you give it a little thumbs up, and of course, as always, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't just give me your thoughts on the car that we feature on that week, but maybe sort of like give me your ownership experience if you've got one of these cars, or if you're thinking about buying one and you've any questions, by all means put those in the comment section down below as well, and let me know what you think of the House of Cars channel on the whole. All that I ask is, remember, it's a public forum, let's all be kind to one another. That's all I ask. And remember, if you're in the marketplace for a new car and you want to know all the information about all the new cars to hit the UK market, then this is where you're going to find them. Whether it's an electric SUV, a small sports car, a family hatchback, a large executive saloon car, no matter what it is, I'm going to try and review every new car that comes out on the market. So if that's what you're interested in, please make sure you're subscribed. If you do want to follow me on social media, you can do that over on Instagram, and it's very simple. It's at House of Cars 1973. So if you want to give me a follow there, that's where you'll find me. And remember, whether or not it is a, well, not quite a new car, but an improved car, or an old car, a slow car or a fast car, a small car or a large car, you'll find them all here in the House of Cars. Thank you again for watching. Thank you so much for all your continued support. I do appreciate it, and I will see you again soon.